friends, it's Tracy from Tea Time with Tracy and Violet. Violet's right here, and we're up in my haunted attic. I'm trying to fiddle with the lighting. I don't know how to do it, so fingers crossed. I know the video I put up yesterday was really hazy, just where I was sitting outside on top of a dirt pile, but Violet, want to come say hi to these fellers? Anyways, it's raining cats and dogs outside. I was hoping for a little thunder and lightning, because that always adds to it. But I wanted to talk to you about a book I finished yesterday. Took me a couple, well, 2 or 3 days to read it. It's fairly heavy and long, but I really enjoyed it. And I talked about the first 2 books the other day. And I'm using a different candlestick than the last time I had one here. I've had this guy for years and years and years. He's like a spooky, he's not spooky, he's just a very ancient one, and you can see all the wax dripping down. Little do people know, I have quite the collection of candles, as well as teacups and a few other items. Oh, I just brought this book up to the attic because I'm going to put it on my bookshelf over there. That's the one I talked about yesterday. So, anyways, I wanted to balance out the water with the fire. And yeah, that's what we're going to do today while we talk about a book. Now, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but this is another Tillie Coles book from the Deadly Virtues series. Not my last video, but the video before I did the Genesis and Raphael's book. Genesis is the prequel. Raphael is book 1. This is book 2. So, Tillie Coles does dark for sure, but I'm going to try to pronounce it. Jegudiel. Jegudiel. In this book, Jegudiel, I guess it's a biblical name of an angel, I believe, but he goes by Deal, so, or I think that's how, well, that's how I played it in my mind when I was reading. But yes, this is book 2 of the Deadly Virtues series. But I want to have a cup of tea. Oh, I forgot my cream. Well, that's tough titty, said the kitty. I'm not going back downstairs. So I'm having Earl Grey tea. No, I'm not. I'm having English breakfast Twinings tea. One of my friends from Halifax sent me, actually. Her name's Kelly. But I have a new teacup here. Well, new to you. She's not new to me. This girl has some, she's thick. She's thick. She's not a dainty little lassie. No, she's not. She is, although she looks like she is, but she has some heft. But I like her. I like her a lot. Look at this, these colors. It has blue and gray and yellow and a bit of green for the, you know, not the petals, but the leaves. It's beautiful. That's her front. And this is her back. And you can see that there's gold right there on that side of her arm. There's gold on this side. And there's gold right on the corner of her elbow. And she has gold up here and gold down at the bottom. And then this is her skirt. Oh, well, I should leave it there, but her skirt or her pedestal. Isn't that beautiful? And you can see it's not just straight, it's wavy. You know what I'm saying? So this beautiful girl came from Delphine bone china, made in England. Yeah, and then it has the letter A marked on it. So, and when I say she has some heft, she's just a little thicker. Like, she feels heavier than some of the other girls that I have. And I'm still using the same teapot I had yesterday. Ooh, this is hot. I filled her up. She has a couple of tea bags in there. And usually I put a little cream. I'll just have a whiff of it. It should steep a little longer. But, oh yeah, I don't know if you can see the steam coming off. It's piping hot, but I like a good piping cup of tea. Yeah. Anyways, so I wanted to talk about this before I get too far down the road. I'm halfway through no book before I need to go back and review it, because I really just finished this yesterday. And it took me a little longer than some books. Not that I didn't enjoy it. It's just I find this series is quite intense. If you've seen my video, I'll put it down below. My video when I talked about Genesis and Raphael, the first 2 books of the series, the first one being a novella. It's not very long. Yeah, it's quite a dark series. There's a lot of, well, there's abuse, there's murder, there's gruesomeness. There's a whole lot of things. But I'll briefly touch on it, and then I'll talk about this book. So, Deal, he's in his, I think they're in their mid to late 20s. As a child, him and his 6 brothers, not blood brothers, but brothers, were in a church, like orphanage, home for wayward boys. They have a name of it, something Innocence. Holy Innocence Home for Children, orphanage for boys near Boston, named in tribute to boys killed during Herod's search for Jesus. Yeah. And then there was a secret sect that ran this home. And I'm putting this very lightly, very, very skeleton-like. The boys that were in this home that showed a little more aggression or evil tendencies leaning towards the dark side, they would snatch these boys and put them in purgatory. Now, not the heavenly or religious purgatory. It was an actual dungeon, giant dungeon down in the basement, and they used medieval torture devices on these children. Just horrible, 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 horrible. It's just a story, Violet. It's just a story. It's just a story. Don't worry, darling. Don't worry. Anyways, at this home, they were kept in complete darkness. They were abused from one end of the spectrum to the other. And I'm talking straight up horror story kind of things. Oh, Maze, I'm talking about stuff that's for grown folks, hon. No, you can come up after and we'll do it when I'm doing my other video, okay? All right.
Say hi.
Well, you can come say hi quick. For those that don't follow me over on Nova Scotia Living, this is my youngest son, Maze.
Yes, 6 years old.
6 years old. You got to come over so they can see you quick. But then you got to skedaddle. Still can't see you. Violet.
Violet.
She's licking his belly button. Get going, Violet. Stick your head over, Maze, quick. There he is. All right. I'll tell you when we're done, and then you can come up and I'll let you know. Okay?
Can I go?
No, because I'm talking about stuff that's not for kids. Just hold on a second, guys. All right, I needed a minute to get them sorted, but I gotta taste this. It's not a full cup yet. But yeah, so Deal and his brothers forged this bond in this horrendous circumstance. Oh, that's delicious, Violet. If you would drink tea, I'd give you a cup. I would. Anyways, the prequel has to do with when Deal and his brothers were children. Okay? Book 1 has to do with Raphael, who is one of his brothers. Forged this family bond when they were children in this ridiculous establishment. I won't get into his story. Fast forward. Now we're on Deal. I'm going to call him Deal because I can't pronounce his name. I even tried to look his name up on the internet. And you know, some apps can tell you like actually pronounce the word, but I couldn't find one that would pronounce the word. So Deal and his brothers all have a tendency. Uh, they were told they were demons when they were children, tortured so they'd repent, and I mean tortured, terribly tortured. So they all have this tendency. They believe they have a dark side in them, and they have this urge to murder and kill and do crazy things to people. And one of their brothers, Gabriel, who I talked about in the previous video, he is one of the brothers, but he doesn't have that tendency like the other ones. So Raphael, he liked to strangle, okay? The place where they are now in their adulthood, they're in like a big fortress, compound, mansion thing. Money is not an issue, and the way that they handle their urges, Gabriel orchestrates with outside help to find bad people, for example, like a sex trafficker person, and then one of these brothers get to go and kill this evil person in the world. So they're feeding their rage and their tendency to kill, but doing it to people, not innocent people, you know. And then you have to guess, you know, like you reflect on yourself. Well, who are we to judge? We're only human, right? Like this. Anyways, that's what was going on. So Raphael liked to strangle. Another one likes to mutilate. Another one likes to do this. Another one likes to do that. Deal, he was the most wild one of them, the most uncontrollable one. He had to wear a shock collar. When they were boys, he had to be chained up. Like the other boys were just locked in this room all together. He was locked in there too, but he was chained up because he was just so like the Tasmanian devil. That's what he was like. So even though he was crazy like that as children, he was still part of that bond. So when they all get out, I'm not going to tell you the circumstances or anything. They're still all in this big compound, but he still has to wear a collar. He's not chained to any bed, but it goes off if he gets too, like his pulse goes up or something like that. He gets too out of control. And Gabriel does have a clicker to do that too. Like it'll do it automatically, and it'll do it if for some reason it doesn't do it automatically quick enough. So he is wild and crazy kind of guy. And yeah. So fast forward a bit, and the people that were holding these children were priests. They called themselves the Brethren. And the Brethren was more than just the church that they were kept in as children. It turns out it's a great big huge worldwide network, or country network. Like it's humongous. So they go on the hunt for some brethren. They come across houses of the Brethren after doing some research to try to find some of these mofos. And there's children. Like every house they go to, there's a child. They have red dog collars on. They're chained to the floor. It's just used as toys in every unspeakable manner. So one night comes along, and Deal is going so crazy. Like he's going so crazy. He's going to these homes, and then he finds the priests. The children are gone, but the priests are tied up to the bed with a gag in their mouth. So somebody beat him to the punch. Okay? Beat him to the punch. He keeps going to these houses. He ends up dispatching these priests when he gets there, but the last house he stops on, the people that are rescuing these children are still there. And, well, the priest is tied to the bed. There's two figures in the room. They are dressed all in black, and they have masks on. They can't see. And of course, he's in this frenzied, crazy state. He's dumbfounded, like seeing what are they doing there, but the priest is whatever. So he jumps on the bed and starts like, you know, and then he goes towards these two. These two know how to fight, but they don't know how to fight like he knows how to fight. And turns out they're women. And I'm not going to give all the details away, but they see they have one thing in common. But they end up having to drug him because they can't control him. Like, they can't beat him. He's out of control. So they drug him and bring them back to their compound. Fast forward, I think there's 6 other girls, like, so almost the same number as the boys and girls. But these women, they're all women. They were kept just like the men in this series. And the men in this series are called the Fallen. They dub themselves the Fallen, like fallen angels. These women are dubbed the Coven because these women had been tortured like these men were as children, labeled to be witches, and they were tortured on these devices and physically, sexually, all abused, just like the men. They have the scars to show it. And this is where Deal and the woman in this story, her name is Noah. I think that's how you say it. Noa. That's where my mind went when I read it. She's one of the women in the coven. Okay? I didn't read the back of this book, but I will in a second. So this is where the first interaction between Deal and Noah meet. These two characters are so tormented by their own ghosts, their own background, their own upbringing. They're constantly there's a draw between these two. There is certainly a draw between these two, and they relate to one another, but they are so not used to having that mutual relationship with the opposite sex, to be honest. Like, these women don't trust men. Of course not. Why would you? And these men never had anybody else to rely on in their corner at all. So why would they trust these women? So there's a lot of conflict. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of hope. And there's a lot of, you get to understand where some of the minds of these characters are. I can't say too much because then it'll give the story away. But let me just quickly read the back of this. So, they are the Fallen, a brotherhood of murderers. Like I said, all those men like to do crazy stuff. A brotherhood of murderers whose nature compels them to kill. But guided by their leader Gabriel, the Fallen have learned to use their urges to rid the world of those it is better off without. Control. Deal has spent his entire life under it. His childhood years were spent in a sadistic captivity of the Brethren. Now the Fallen are free, but the monster that lives inside Deal is not. Cannot be. The darkness within is curbed by an electric collar. The only thing that stops Deal from killing... That's the only thing that stops Deal from killing everyone in his path. He didn't expect to find her. The Fallen are not the only ones chasing the destruction of the Brethren. They were not the only ones to suffer at the priest's hands, hence the coven. This Deal discovers when he stumbles upon Noah, second in command of the coven, a group of women who are intent on bringing the Brethren down. From the second they collide, Noah seems to understand Deal in a way that no one ever has before. She is unafraid of his rage, the bloodthirsty monster that dwells within him. Because there is darkness inside Noah too, and it recognizes the one in Deal as it's missing half of her soul. For years, she has tried to suppress it, but she is inescapably drawn to the fury filled man in the collar, and she starts to wonder if she can keep up the fight. She starts to wonder if she even should. So, yes, she certainly has some skeletons in her closet. She has some fury that she's learned to hone due to circumstances when she escaped the brethren. And you learn all this. Now, Deal hasn't had the opportunity to learn how to hone his rages. So he has this collar because he just can't. He can't. This is the only way to stop him. And the way that Tillie writes this, he has a big scar under where he has scars all over him, but he has a big scar where this big electric collar is because it's a full-on shock collar. Like taser shock collar you drop to the floor in pain. So having that on for years, I can just envision his neck being all red and thick with scars, maybe weeping at some times, if you know what I mean by weeping, skin. And it's always humming like a buzz, like an annoying buzz. Zzz, just a low hum all the time. And you're just waiting for it to go zap. And because it goes through different degrees. It'll go hardcore if he's really out of control. It'll zap him if he's starting to rage, And you know what it's like if you get a shock for something, even a static shock when you scrub your toes across the floor with socks and you touch somebody. Yeah, it's not going to knock you to the floor, but you feel it. Imagine that times 1,000. Yeah, it probably won't kill you, but it's not going to feel good. Imagine that times 10,000. I don't know what a taser is. Like, I have no idea, but something to knock you on your unconscious on your backside. Like, he has to have this all the time because he is so out of control. Now you get a little bit of I really think that there's going to be other books, because before I read this I was like, I hope there's other books, because I don't understand why there's only books about 2 of these guys and there's 7 of them. How? Unless this book contained all of them getting sorted. But it doesn't leave this on a cliffhanger. That's why I like series so much. I like that the story continues. I don't mind some standalone books, but I'm not straight into romance strictly for the romance. Like, I like the big story, the big picture. I'm not into insta loves or anything like that. There's got to be some torment and struggles and history. So the story from when they were children has been dragging along into Raphael's book, into Deal's book, into the next and next. I hope that there's going to be other books. It certainly seems like there's going to be other books. And I will absolutely read the other books if they come out. I am thoroughly enjoying Tillie Cole. They are not for the light of heart. They are absolutely dark romances. There's nothing fluffy about them at all. And they're semi happily ever after, kind of. It depends on your perspective. But there's I'm sure a lot of trigger warnings in all of these books, like abuse and captor captive. And when I say abuse, every single kind of abuse imaginable to every single age, which is crazy. Well, it's crazy to happen to anybody, but I would recommend this if you are into dark romance, if you are okay with really twisted stories that put you through the ringer and sometimes enrage you and sometimes make you smile. Like, it all depends. So I'm going to leave it at that. I couldn't give too much away because I wanted to talk up until these, like Noah and Jegudiel. Jegudiel. I'm probably saying that completely wrong, but when they first meet, and it was over the body of a bloodied up priest, and he's freaking out wild, and she's stunned, and voila, there's the two meeting for the first time. Great first impressions, right? But I'm telling you, I would recommend it. I'd recommend the whole series. I did find Raphael and Maria's relationship a little more disturbing. If you go back and watch that, I'll put it down below. Like I said, their relationship a little more disturbing than Deal and Noah's. But that's just my take on it. But the whole series as a whole is dark and twisted and right up my alley these days. So, come here, Violet. They want to see you. Come on. Come on. Anyways. Yeah. You gotta come over a little closer. Come here, you wiener. There. Anyways, I want to say peace, love, and happiness today and every single day. Please like, share, and subscribe if you so choose. But if not, that's okay too. I still love ya. I still want all the happiness in the world for each and every one of you out there. I certainly do. I really, really honest and truly do. Yes, I do. Well, yes, we do. Violet, look up at the camera, would you? For goodness sakes. Look up here. Yeah. Anyways, guys. Well, with that, I'm going to say have a good night or have a good morning. And I might see you tomorrow. Bye. Bloop.